Is that better now? Better? Good? Sweet. All right. Let's talk some free agency. Oh my God. I don't even know where to start. When I decided to do this stream, I was going to just do a video, but I didn't think it was going to be this crazy with this many signings. So, and just crazy, like dumb moves. Music's kind of loud. All right. I'm getting, thanks for telling me. I'll just kill the music. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it, bro. Really appreciate it. All right, I'm going to start that over because I'm going to like cut this up and put it on YouTube. So here we go. Starting now. Welcome, everybody, to the free agent live stream. Shush it, computer. Louis, get out of here. Coming into the stream. So I was going to do a video like reacting to all this, but it was so crazy. Like DeAndre Hopkins things. I didn't even know where to start as far as a video. And I thought this was the way to do it because this way you guys can just shoot me in the feed like who I should talk about. So I don't need to prep all that stuff. And I can just spit for like 20, 25 minutes. This is nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. I think this is the way to do it. So I'm really excited about it. Right before I did this, the Bears just gave Jimmy Graham a $16 million contract for 2 years. Like, why? He showed last year he's a like below replacement level tight end. He doesn't block, he doesn't get open, and he drops like everything. What a dumb signing. Like you already have Trey Burton there who's not great, but he's better than Grant. Okay. Let's start with the Texans. I got my boy Blue here, DeAndre Hopkins. Rip this figurine. I thought there was no way that this guy was going to be playing on a different team in the next 4 years. Texans management needs to interfere. This is the worst trade of my lifetime. And I said that last year with the Khalil Mack thing or 2 years ago. At least that, like, you get 2 first-round picks. Yeah, it was a pick swap. Like, they weren't going anywhere, the Raiders. The Texans were in the playoffs last year. They had a 24-0 lead on the Chiefs last year. I cannot explain anything about it. It makes no sense for the Texans from a team-building standpoint. Like, they're only like they have Will Fuller and Kenny Stills. Both get hurt and are deep threats. But Hopkins was a $14 million cap hit. It's not like he was some crazy, unpayable asset. Oh my God. I can't explain it. And when I first saw the news, I was like, okay, they're getting the eighth pick in the draft. So like if they have to trade him, if there's something going on in the locker room, if they really don't like him, at least they're getting the 8th pick in the draft, right? Nope. They're getting a bag of Fritos for him. DeAndre Hopkins is worth 2 first-round picks. And for them to just get rid of him that quickly, like the news came out this morning that they're shopping him and then they trade him. It's the same thing the Raiders did with Khalil Mack, and I scrutinized them for that. You don't sell your house overnight. You're telling me there's no one in the league that would have given you a first-round pick for DeAndre Hopkins? Bullshit. The only reason this worked is because Bill O'Brien is a coach who doesn't understand that running backs are completely replaceable. The Cardinals would have given away a draft pick just to get rid of David Johnson. Instead, based on this evaluation, either A, Bill O'Brien is completely misevaluating DeAndre Hopkins, who is worth 2 first-round picks. Jalen Ramsey, Khalil Mack, that's the standard. This is a all-pro, first-team, like blue-chip player. So not only that, but Bill O'Brien's either he's either misvaluing the player or he thinks David Johnson is worth more than a first-round pick. What? I don't even know where to start. What a steal for the Cardinals. I'll do this as a send-off. Like, there's really no way around it. The Texans ownership needs to take all roster control away from Bill O'Brien immediately, probably fire him, do whatever they can to stop this trade, because I think it becomes official on Wednesday. And for the Cardinals, like, they're popping champagne. This is my send-off. I just say, Steve Keim, like, we know you got DUI history. Like, we know you're popping champagne there in Arizona. Just please stay off the roads tonight, Steve Keim, because, whoo, what highway robbery was that? All right. Unbelievable. Okay. So after that, I'm kind of hoping you guys just drop in the comment, like, whoever I see that you want me to talk about. So I'm seeing Eric Flowers right now. Let's talk about Eric Flowers. Bad deal. Over in my mock drafts, when I keep saying don't draft Tua at 5 if you're the Dolphins, how many people have given me crap when I said you don't fix your offensive line in free agency? Joe Thuney, Brandon Scherf, they get franchise tagged. There's a couple guys out there, Graham Glasgow, Jack Conklin. Well, guess what? Miami Dolphins, you aren't the only team trying to sign these guys. The good teams don't let good offensive linemen hit. Miami ends up settling a $10 million contract for Flowers. Is it Eric Flowers? Who's like, he had a good year last year for the Redskins. A good year as a brick wall pass protector with some good talent around him. And I take that back. He just had a good year last year, but he is what he is. He's a maybe very slightly above replacement guard. Guard. Not a tackle, he's a guard, which is much more replaceable than the tackles, which is a huge, that's where the Dolphins' problem is, a tackle. So when I keep saying, Dolphins, don't draft Tua. You got to fix your offensive line through free agency before you even think about a quarterback. This is why. Because you end up getting stuck with freaking Eric Flowers, and you miss out on those guys. So that's Eric Flowers. Let's see. Austin Hooper to the Browns. Can someone tell me I haven't seen the numbers on the Austin Hooper contract. Hal Vitae. Let's talk about the Lions. I tweeted this one out, but basically this is what the Lions did. The Lions cut Rick Wagner, who's like a slightly above average not above average, just like a replacement level tackle-ish. Like, he can get in people's way. What's going on? 4 years, $44 million. That's Hooper? Okay, we'll talk about Hooper in a second. So Rick Wagner's, like, fine at tackle, right? Like, especially the Green Bay Packers got him for 2 years, $11 million, and it was before free agency started, so it's not going to cost them a comp pick. So they let him go. That's fine. I understand letting him go. They didn't know Green Bay was going to get him on the cheap. His contract in Detroit was more than he was worth. That's fine. But here's where they've screwed up. Then they let Graham Glasgow go, who's developed really nicely. He's got positional versatility, can play center and guard. Really nice run blocker. One of the best run blocker in the NFL. They let him go to the Denver Broncos, who have just won the offseason right now. I mean, a lot of teams are winning the offseason, but Broncos are winning the offseason right now. They let Glasgow go. With that money, they pay Hal Vitae, who is a swingman 6 tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, was the very reason they felt they had to draft Andre Dillard, that I kept saying they had to draft Andre Dillard or draft someone, because Hal Vitae is not the answer. And the Eagles know that. He's got stiff feet. Fast pass rushers can basically run around him. He's going to give up 2, 3, 4 sacks a season to Danielle Hunter alone, which is going to be one of the biggest mismatches in a divisional pound-for-pound thing as far as the speed that Danielle Hunter brings to the table. So you let a division rival get your better tackle for less, you overpay for a worse player, and you let the one really good player go for the price that you paid the worst player. Whoa. So Lions are screwing themselves there. What else? Let's go back to the Austin Hooper thing. 4 years, $44 million. I don't love, I'm kind of indifferent on that. It's less than I thought he would get. That's $11 million. When I see the Bears giving Jimmy Graham $9 million guaranteed, then, I mean, that changes some things. I'd much rather have Austin Hooper at $11 million than Jimmy Graham at $9 million. As a Packers fan, I'm happy that they didn't pay Austin Hooper $11 million. He's fine. He's he's like a Kyle Rudolph. Like, he's a big-bodied guy, can come down with some contested catches. He'll sit down in zones, but he's not beating man coverage. He's not great after the catch. He's not a great blocker. So, like, I don't know. He's a much more well-rounded player, and if they're kind of done with David Njoku not really developing, I get it. I really like the Jack Conklin signing. If the Browns draft a tackle in free agency, it's going to be hard to draft someone in free agency. If they draft a tackle with the 10th pick, whether it's Wirfs or Thomas or Wills, I'll talk about Buckner in a second. Then the Browns, like I said on Twitter, you've got, which is at TFG_football, by the way. If you aren't following me and you're watching this, I don't know what you're doing. But potentially the best offensive line in the NFL. You'd have an elite tackle duo. Well, you'd have a really good tackle duo. Conklin and a rookie would be a top 10 tackle duo. Really good interior. I think they extended their center. You got really nice balanced wide receiver core with Beckham, Landry, Hooper now, and Njoku's still a great red zone threat. You can find a wide receiver 3 in this class easily. And then running backs. Like, they got really good running backs. Kareem Hunt is back on a second-year tender. No one's going to pay that for him. And Nick Chubb. So put all that around Baker, like, that's a really good opportunity for – I can't even remember who their head coach is now. Who did the Browns hire as their head coach? Was it Stefanski? Yeah, Stefanski. So, like, Stefanski's going to have – so much to work with. And I don't mind bringing in Case Keenum as your backup either, because he's a great mentor for Baker. I even compared a little bit of Baker's game to Case Keenum, but he's got a much better arm. So great mentor for Baker, who obviously needs a mentor. Familiar with the system. Like, great moves for the Browns. The new front office, I was skeptical when they let John Dorsey go, because Dorsey's a really good scout, but they seem to be onto something. They seem to have someone in-house there that they really wanted to promote. I can't even think of his name right now, but he's doing a good job. All right. Dolphins have signed Kyle Van Noy. That makes a lot of sense. Scheme fit. Depends what the price is. Like, I think that in that role, Vince Beagle did a really good job, but they actually need that on both sides. Yep, Buckner, getting there. All right. So the Colts trade their first-round pick, which is the 13th pick, for San Francisco, or to San Francisco for DeForest Buckner. I thought this was a really good win-win trade because Buckner kind of got lost in the sauce in that line last year. Like, don't get me wrong, he had a good year, but we weren't really talking about DeForest Buckner all year. He clearly made an impact, and it's something that they're going to want to replace. But they were dealing with cap space, and this is going to allow them to keep Arik Armstead, which for them, they think that positional swing on the edge there is that run defender early to contain those outside runs. And Armstead's still a free agent, right? So we'll see what happens there. But I think it makes some sense to the Niners. That's really good value. Like, I don't think that they were out there saying, we got to get rid of DeForest Buckner, but I do think they were looking to kind of clear up some cap space to get some flexibility here. And with that 13th pick, they could very easily draft. They re-sign Armstead, thank you. So that makes sense. They preferred to keep Armstead, and they said, we can let Buckner go. Now, what's nice is they can use that 13th pick now to get a Javon Kinlaw or maybe a Derek Brown if he falls. But I actually think that Javon Hargrave, $39 million, re-signed, or where? I'm not seeing where. Oh, to the Eagles. Holy hell. All right, we'll talk about that. Jeez, this is just too much, man. Too much. But yeah, the Colts I got to regain my train of thought. So the Niners looking to clear up some cap space. Really deep defensive line. They'll be fine. It's a loss, but they can take a defensive tackle like a Javon Hargrave. Jesus. A Javon Kinlaw. See, this is too much, man. We're talking about two Javons in a 2-minute straight. This is insane. Too many Javons. I'm out, man. I'm out. Nah, they can get a Javon Kinlaw, and he can do a lot of the same stuff. So I think that could be a real good pick for them. If not, you're looking at maybe getting a CeeDee Lamb or a Jerry Jeudy. So I understand it from the Niners side. In their position, you'd rather keep the elite player than get a 13th overall pick, but I get it. For the Colts, it's a great move. Tons of cap space. It's expensive, but he's borderline worth it. When you're a team like the Colts and you've got so much young depth and tons of cap space, like eventually you got to start overpaying for some really good players. So really good move for the Colts. Huge need. Him and Danico Autry on the inside there, that's going to be a handful. So I like the move for both sides. The only thing that really does is that takes away Jordan Love to the Colts. Like, it's not going to happen. And I thought that was a really good fit. So the Colts still got to figure out the quarterback situation. Thoughts on Bradberry? Jeez, Kyle Van Noy's deal is 4 years, $51 million. I think we got to talk about the Dolphins here. Dolphins are blowing out in free agency, and the guys that they're doing it on, we talked about Flowers early on, which is not a good signing. Like, it gets them a starter, which they're clearly desperate for, but they had to desperately overpay just to get that. They paid Shaq Lawson, I think, over $10 million. So there you go. There's $20 million. That's 10% of your salary cap on replacement level guys. That's not good spending. Now, maybe they can get out of that stuff. And now you throw in another $12 million for Kyle Van Noy. So you're now paying $32 million for just a guy on the offensive line, a guard. You're paying $10 million for Shaq Lawson, who's a really good run defender, but not much of a pass rusher at all, is a good scheme fit. Maybe he can be Trey Flowers in that scheme and blow up. I don't think that's very likely. I think he's going to be a good run defender, a good starting caliber player, but someone that in reality you can probably wait and find that player on a much cheaper deal later. Van Noy didn't sign. Well, none of these guys have signed yet. Anything I say in this video could change. But if that's true about Kyle Van Noy, you add in a guy who's a really good player in that scheme. You know you're getting that guarantee. But again, like, does he do anything that really stands out? No. Does he offer that flexibility in your scheme? Yes. So I understand that signing alone, but when you start to add all this stuff up, that's getting real expensive. And you still haven't really fixed your offensive line at all. Someone was asking about the Packers, Hargrave. So, yeah, let's talk about Hargrave, because that's interesting. The Eagles now have a ton of money invested on the interior defensive line, and I'm kind of losing faith. I'm starting to lose faith in Roseman. Like, some of these moves lately, I don't know. I thought the Malik Jackson move was interesting. Do they keep Malik Jackson? I don't know. It just seems... I don't want to say I'm completely out on Howie Roseman. I still think he's a very good general manager. I just think it's an interesting commitment of resources. Now, what else were they going to do with that cap space? Is it better to just keep getting good players? Probably. I don't know. It's like a C- signing for me. He's a good player. He can rush the passer, stop the run. That's a good rotation with Cox, Hargrave, and hoping Malik Jackson can come back healthy. But that's a lot of money on the interior defensive line, which it's really hard to add value there. I thought they should probably go after some of these corners. So I don't know how much cap space they're going to have, but they got some work to do at corner. Blake Martinez to the Giants, is it official? Please tell me that breaks on this stream. Please tell me. Please tell me. I want it. I want it to have a live reaction on that so bad. Talk about the Ravens. So I hit on Calais Campbell, really cute guy. Saw him at the bar the other night. No, I hit on him on the podcast. I need to know if this is true about Blake Martinez. Not yet. Oh, man. So, yeah, the Calais Campbell thing, great move. 5th round pick. They have the cap space to make it work. Interesting scheme fit. I like him better at edge where he really blew up. Stephen Weatherly. We'll hit on Stephen Weatherly later. Remind me. So I like the Campbell move. Now, $30 million for Brockers after you just took on a massive Calais Campbell contract. Look, the Ravens are like the smartest front office in the NFL right now. They know what they're doing, but to me, Michael Brockers is a guy that you can get in July on a league minimum contract, like a Zach Kerr or. You guys watch my weekly studs and duds. Like, there's so many run defenders I don't think that's a great signing. You know, Michael Brockers was not really a fear factor at all for the Rams. Like, he's a good player, but he's much closer to that replacement level run stuffing D tackle than a $10 million player, especially for a team like the Ravens that doesn't have a ton of cap space flexibility right now. Who had the worst free agency so far? I think Detroit and Miami. Although, I don't know. We'll see. Miami, they have so much cap space, it's hard to say. I think Detroit, they're really botching the offensive line right now. Like, you go from Wagner and Glasgow to just Hal Vaitai. Yikes. Like, I don't even think Vaitai is a better player than Tyrell Crosby, who's already on their roster. Do I like the Giants? Oh, Bradberry. Let's talk about Bradberry for the Giants. I think it's better to spend that than giving $12 million to Blake Martinez. We'll see what they do. I think he's a really high-end number 2 corner. I think he had some really good games against big-bodied wide receivers where he's going to thrive because he's that bigger-bodied corner, right? Isn't Bradberry? I'm going to look this up. Bradberry, I think, is like 6'2", right? And he's a stiffer guy. Oh, I just typed in Bradberry. I got to type in James Bradberry, NFL. 6'1", 212. Yeah, he's a big guy. Like, he is going to match up well with your Mike Evans, Michael Thomas, like, relative to other corners. That's a good matchup for him. That's something that those bigger wide receivers aren't used to seeing. So, like, he's had some big games against big-name wide receivers, but in reality, it actually was a pretty good setup for him to be that bigger body receiver in a division with those guys. So I think he's a good number 2 corner. You know who he is to me? He is Xavier Rhodes. Like, big press corner, smart player, physical, but put a quicker wide receiver on him, and he's going to struggle. He's not a true number 1 guy to me. And I don't know if that's the Giants' scheme either. Like, we'll see what Joe Judge wants to do. These multiple New England, Miami, Detroit defenses, those defenses all ran more man coverage than anyone in the league last year. So if they're going to try to do that with Bradberry just because they felt like they needed to spend money at corner, it's going to backfire. Now, if they want to run a lot of press coverage, a lot of zone, he can be worth that contract. So, I don't know. It's not a terrible contract. I just don't love it. Oh, yeah, we talked about D-Hop already. That's the whole intro. You can... When this is done, it's going to upload right away, so you'll be able to watch this whole thing back, so don't worry about that. If I ignore who you're asking about. That can't be real. Darius Slay to the Texans for 2 firsts? They don't even have 2 firsts. Let's see. Byron Jones. We can talk about Byron Jones. Byron Jones, very similar to what I just said, actually, about Bradberry. He's a little better in man coverage. Don't get me wrong. He's a smooth athlete. I'm much more comfortable paying Byron Jones than Bradberry. I'll just leave it at that. I think that's a good signing. Packers talk. We can talk some Packers. So initially I freaked out and I had to apologize because it was really an emotional outbreak when I first saw. And I literally talked about this yesterday. That when you see these numbers, you can't freak out. Because you can have a sticker price, like the Christian Kirksey contract was 2 years, $16 million when it first got reported, and I was like, oh my god, $8 million cap hit for Christian Kirksey, who's played like 8 games in 2 years, who's not good in coverage, like he's fast in a straight line, but he's almost a mirror image to Anthony Hitchens, who the Chiefs dramatically regret paying. So my initial reaction was like, ugh. They're going to blow their load. And what I really hated about it was it all happened before free agency opened up or the legal tampering. So I was like, they're going to blow their load on a slightly above replacement level player who's a good run defender. He's a much better run defender than Blake Martinez. He's an upgrade to Blake Martinez, which is what everyone was saying. But you understand, like 50 XFL linebackers just lost their jobs last week. They're all better freaking linebackers than Blake Martinez. So that's not a qualifier for being a good signing. Just because they've rolled his sorry ass out there for 4 years and he's let players come to him for a bunch of meaningless tackle numbers for 4 years doesn't mean you sign anybody. So that was my initial reaction. But then the contract details came out. And comes out like, okay, tons of incentives, which is good. I like incentive-based contracts. $5 million cap hit next year, can easily get out of it. Sammy, we just talked about Van Noy. You can watch this bad boy back, and thanks for the donation, Kirk. Appreciate it, bro. You guys make me lose my train of thought. You can easily get out of it after a year, which the Chiefs can't get out of Anthony Hitchens. They way overpaid for him. They're still dealing with that 3 years later. So the Kirksey signing actually ended up being pretty good. That's a big difference. When I first reacted, I thought it was $8 million for Christian Kirksey. Well, it's about half of that. So that's a good signing. Still maybe a tiny bit expensive, but they had to do something. And then they got Wagner too. And the nice thing about those is those were both cuts, which allowed them to basically they won't lose the opportunity to get compensatory picks for guys like Blake Martinez and Brian Bulaga, which we'll see what the numbers come out to be. Those could potentially both be like third-round comp picks, depending on how much they get. Is Teddy Bridgewater the Bears? Is that for sure? All right, so we've covered a lot. Stephen Weatherly to the Panthers. He's a replacement level edge guy. It looked like that contract was pretty cheap. Seems like that's a huge need. Like, how many times have I said that the Panthers need edge rushers? So, I mean, he's a Band-Aid. That's a decent signing. What else? I'm not gonna do any like speculation as far as like where's Jamie Collins going. Like I don't know. That's not really what this video is for. This is more like reacting to stuff that happens. Who's had the best free agency so far? That is a great question. Just trying to think of like my favorite signings. I did like the Kwiatkowski signing to the Raiders. That's not enough to be the best free agency. Most of the signings I've had a pretty negative reaction to. I think most of them have been overreactions. The Denver Broncos right now are having the most well-rounded offseason so far. You get Bouye, who's a really good number one corner for a fifth-round pick, and a really good starting guard for $10 million. I think the Broncos are making the right moves right now. I mean, the Cardinals, like, it's not really free agency. It's just a trade that they made. But, God, that's the trade of a lifetime right there. I can't believe that. Eric Murray to the Texans, whatever. He's a low-level safety. 3 years, $20 million. What is Bill Bryan doing? All right, I just said don't overreact to sticker prices. But what is he doing? He's maybe a starting caliber safety. That is a kind of player, Bill, that you don't sign on the first day of free agency. That is the kind of player that you say, we're interested in you, Eric. Go ahead, feel out the market. If you get a deal, we have other players like you that are scheme fits on our, pro scouts. Bill O'Brien clearly isn't doing this, talking to his pro scouts. I can't believe, how is this happening? Bill O'Brien in one day surpassed the Jags, the Raiders, and the Giants for the worst run team in the NFL. Like, what the actual F? Eric Murray is the kind of guy you say, come, you can explore the market. We're interested to bring you in to compete for a starting job, to compete for a roster spot. To compete for a spot on our 53-man roster because you are a slightly above replacement level player. We'll come talk to you in 3 weeks when the market plays out. But so you trade DeAndre Hopkins to clear up cap space to sign Eric Murray? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. It's fake. It better be fake. Oh, my God. Wow. All right, what else? Falcons Ravens trade. It was Hayden Hurst. I mean, that's a good move for the for the Falcons, because I think Hayden Hurst is a better player in a lot of ways than Austin Hooper. You get him for cheap. They're dealing with cap stuff. For the Ravens, I don't love it. I really don't like it. Mark Andrews is a guy that has had injury stuff going back to college. The Ravens are at their best when they're running 2-3 tight end sets. Now, they still got two guys, but, I mean, what are you going to do with that second-round pick? I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. I think that the Ravens really benefited from having three really good tight ends. Yeah, we talked about the Ravens earlier. Falcons cutting Freeman, Trufant, re-signed Davison. I mean, was Davison expensive? Moss to the Ravens? I mean, maybe in like the 4th or 5th round. Thaddeus Moss has got some really serious injury concerns. Yeah, I still think the Browns go left tackle. Bud Dupree gets franchise tagged. It limits their flexibility, but I don't know what other answers they had, and it's better than giving them a huge contract. So Davison was like $4 or $5 million a year. Yeah, it's a good signing. Like, he's a good player. All right, I'm just looking for any other players that I have not. Brian Bulaga, I don't even know what's real and what's not. You guys are saying so many, like, what do you think about if this happened? That's not what I'm trying to react to here. I'm trying to just cover everything that has happened. Talked about Javon Hargrave. I think we kind of hit everything. I've been scrolling through these. Talked about Rick Wagner. Yeah, Leonard Williams, the franchise tag. I don't think it's that bad. The Giants have a ton of cap space. So, like, if you have as much cap space as they do, it's, Leonard Williams is not a, what is it going to be, $14 million? He's not a $14 million player. But when you have that much cap space, he's a good player. So, like, I'm not going to critique that one too much as I love to make fun of the Giants. I'm really just hanging on, hoping that the Blake Martinez Giants news comes in. Is Justin Burris a starting level free safety? Barely. He was on the Browns last year, right? He had some good games. He's not the worst player in the world. Oh yeah, JPP. What was it, 2 years, $27 million? So they're bringing it back with him and Shaq Lawson. I would have been very comfortable letting JPP go. That seems expensive to me. I don't know. There's not a ton of upgrades out there. It's not a good draft on the edge, so I guess I get it. Like, would I rather do that? 2 years, $27 million. It's probably got a pretty good out after the first year. Would I rather do that or pay Shaq Lawson 3 years, $30 million? I'd much rather have JPP for a, And then Onyemata, what happened with Onyemata? Where did he end up? You guys keep saying Teddy to the Bears. Did that actually happen? Blake Martinez to the Houston. That would just be so funny. Yeah, I don't think the anything else is breaking. Yeah, too many no's here. Onyemata, sorry, I'm trying to find what you said about Onyemata. He re-signed. Yeah, the Saints need some interior guys, so it's good job to bring him back. He's a good player. I think that's it, guys. I think that's it. I mean, I kind of beat it into the ground on Twitter about Dak Prescott and how this is all played out for Dallas. Like, they could still technically keep Amari Cooper, but the fact that he got to free agency is going to drive his price up. So, and Dak's being stubborn about his money. So, like, you're going to end up paying Dak, Amari, and Zeke, like, so much money. I think that's it, guys. Now we'll have more draft stuff, Maton. I'm gonna have a mock draft up at the end of the week once all this stuff stabilizes a little bit, so we'll be able to kind of have a new mock draft. I actually got Swami, Andre Weingarten. He's going to do a joint mock draft with me, which is going to be lit. I don't know when that's going to be. We haven't scheduled it yet, but that's going to be dope. I think that's going to do it, guys. I think that's going to do it. I don't think there's any other big reactions to hit on. If you're asking about it and I'm ignoring you, it's because I already talked about it at some point in the stream. You're just going to have to watch it back. And that's it, guys. This was really fun. I'm probably going to do another one. Maybe, we'll see. If it's crazy again tomorrow, I'll for sure do this again tomorrow. Make sure you guys are subscribed here and go to my Twitch. I'm just going to drop a link so you guys can head over and subscribe right now. Go to my Twitch because if this was fun, if you liked this, the first night of the draft is going to be here. But I'm going to go to Twitch for day 2 and day 3. So make sure you head over to Twitch and subscribe there so you can catch all the reactions. That's going to do it, guys. Love all of you. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your night. Stay safe. Stay contained. Stay healthy. Peace out, guys. I appreciate it.